So depending on how you execute your TACFI award, it can either keep $15 million or more in your pipeline, or it can eliminate $15 million of pipeline. So it's a very big deal when you look at going after a TACFI award, how you choose to execute this. So the way that this works is that a TACFI can be awarded as either an enhancement, which is like a plus up or an add-on to your existing phase 2. And we'll talk about how that happens, versus a sequential award. In the rules for the TACFI and StratFi program and SIPR overall, it's in the policy guidance, you're only allowed to receive a single sequential or second phase 2 award. Now, TACFI and StratFi, they can both be executed as a sequential, but with TACFI especially, it can actually be done and executed as an enhancement. So let's talk through how that happens and why that's such a big deal. So overall, just a quick little graphic here showing that you get your phase 1 and your phase 2. Let's just run with a phase 2 that's $1.8 million for consistency. So from there, you have your phase 2 award. You are then eligible to submit to TACFI. But overall, getting that phase 2 opens the door to be able to go after things like TACFI and StratFi on the Air Force and Space Force side, then Army Catalyst. It's kind of like StratFi on the Army side and Catapult on the Navy. And there's other programs out there as well, just to mention a few. So let's say you want to go after TACFI and you want to keep the door open to potentially go after StratFi down the road. So first thing you need to consider is if your phase 2 is ongoing, meaning the phase 2 period of performance has not yet ended, what this means is you are able to do an enhancement to your phase 2. So this means that your TACFI award can actually sit on top of and be added to your phase 2. So for a quick visual, it's just sitting on and plussing up your phase 2 award. So this is what's called an enhancement. On the contracting side, again, I used to once upon a time was a contracting officer. This means I'm going into the existing contract, adding money to it, adding ceiling and scope to that contract. So it is the same contract award, it's just been plussed up. What this leaves the door open to is then getting a sequential award. So let's say you get your TACFI partially into your phase 2, and that overall just kind of extends and makes this a bigger contract, pushes the period of performance out. This leaves the door for you to then go in later and go after a StratFi award. I've listed this as $15 million. In my opinion, I think that the StratFis could be increased to as much as $30 million based on the new reauthorization language that's been put into statute and will flow to the policy directive. We've yet to see what AFWERX and SpaceWorks is going to do with the new reauthorization. But again, that's my read. So for now, it's been $15 million in the past. We'll keep that for now. So this $15 million award can be that second sequential phase 2 award. So what that means is maybe this year, TACFI is opening, you've got an ongoing phase 2. The play and the timing you really want to try and make work is with that existing phase 2, you're getting this as an enhancement and a plus up to that phase 2. That means next year, should your company be in position, you can then go after StratFi as that sequential award. However, if your phase 2 is already ended, or maybe it ends before you think you can get the TACFI award, that's something to consider. So should you go after TACFI knowing that that checks your box for a sequential award, meaning that you cannot then go after a StratFi later unless you get another phase 2. And I will say one of the biggest barriers right now is getting to a phase 2 award. So if you've got multiple, maybe you've got options here. If you only have one, this is something to consider. Do we check the box and use our sequential for the $2 million TACFI award, or do we wait and go after the StratFi award? So again, ideally, you're getting in and looking at this program early enough that you can do this enhancement and this plus up with the TACFI, so you leave the door open for a $50 million sequential. And something else I should say here is that over the last couple of years, there's been quite a few changes to the different programs, and there is more opportunity now to go across branches or go across even agencies. So this could be a National Science Foundation or NASA Phase 2 that you're then jumping to the Space Force for TACFI or StratFi. The big piece there is you need to have supporters and signers from Space Force in this scenario to support that StratFi program because it's under their umbrella. So to recap, the difference in how you execute your TACFI is the difference between keeping the door open to an additional $15 million in matching from TACFI, or completely shutting that door and meaning you've eliminated that $15 million opportunity from your pipeline completely. So overall, I hope this helps kind of demystify some of the aspects of this program, what an enhancement, what a sequential is. Thanks so much for watching.